Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone podcast, episode number 899 for the 28th of December, 2025. The very last Skeptic Zone for 2025. Don't worry, we'll be back in 2026, or my reporters will have something to say about it. Coming up on this week's episode of the Skeptic Zone, it's a bit of a different episode because it's the end of the year. In Australia, we call this the silly season. The politicians have all gone home. It's hot, summery days. Christmas is just over. There's cricket on the TV and long afternoons. Not doing much. Maybe Boxing Day shopping. There's just gone, crazy sales, that sort of thing. So we try to take life a little less seriously during this time of the year. And in reflection of that, we're going to have some interesting stories coming up on the Skeptic Zone this week. We're going to be looking at a report from our colleagues in Germany at the Society for the Scientific Investigation of Pseudosciences, or GWUP. Now, they have completed a massive study of psychic predictions, just like the the Great Australian Psychic Prediction Project of some years ago. And we, as in Lara Benham, Adrienne Hill and myself, will read you that press release, which is fascinating, especially if you remember the Great Australian Psychic Prediction Project. What were the conclusions after they evaluated 2,099 psychic magical predictions? And what were some of the more interesting predictions made for 2025? And then we have my thoughts about a report just aired on the Channel 7 evening news here in Australia last night about parasite detox cures, potions and concoctions and things that are marketed through social media, which, of course, don't work. And the reaction to that story in the comments on Facebook, mostly from proponents of alt-med, or should I say conspiracy theorists, people who think that alt-med is in league with big government, or big government is in league with alt-med, or anyway, a report about the comments you will find from the legions of alt-med supporters out there motivated to run to Facebook to leave their thoughts and opinions. And in the meantime, do you have parasites? Or maybe your body is chock-a-block full of heavy metal toxins? Find out more. Following that, it's the Loons from Canada with a sort of a wrap-up for the year. Now, I didn't know about this. Apparently, they met in some sort of cafe somewhere in Canada, who knows where. They must have flown in international people. It's a bit surprising. I'm still trying to work it all out. And, listen for yourself. A wrap-up from the Loons from Canada. A wrap-up for 2025 with special guests, still trying to work out how they did it. And you'll be hearing some very familiar voices, and welcome voices indeed. Well, that's enough for me at the moment. I'm going to run downstairs and have a nice cup of peppermint tea given to me by Lara Benham, who you will hear shortly when we come to the reading of the report from Germany. While I do that, I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. At the top of the Skeptic Zone website, you'll find a link to the Great Australian Psychic Prediction Project, a huge undertaking that was concluded 4 years ago. In fact, 4 years ago, almost exactly. This is where almost 4,000 psychic predictions were analysed and the results published. And indeed, you can have that read to you by the link at the top of the Skeptic Zone page, or you can read all about it. So I was thrilled and delighted when informed by Susan Gerbic that our colleagues in Germany have just completed a similar undertaking. The Society for Scientific Investigation of Pseudosciences, or simply truncated to GWUP. And what follows is a press release, and this was published as a special article on the website of the Skeptical Inquirer, dated the 22nd of December this year. And together with Adrienne Hill and Lara Benham, we would like to read that press release to you because it is such a great tie-in to the work done 4 years ago by the international team when we were doing the Great Australian Psychic Prediction Project. King Kong doesn't show up, and 2025 psychic forecasts miss the big events once again. Press release, Annual Forecast Check 2025. The GWUP Forecast Check team evaluated 2,099 annual predictions from 52 sources, more than ever before. One quarter was too vague to test, more than half were clearly wrong, and solid bullseyes were rare. Major events missed. Using a new AI-assisted procedure, the 10 most historically important events of 2025 were identified, from attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities to the death of Pope Francis and the election of Pope Leo XIV. Not a single psychic, medium, or star astrologer predicted these key events with concrete details in advance. Specific predictions far worse. The more detailed a claim, the less likely it is to be correct. This fits the long-standing skeptical diagnosis. Real, and that's in quotation marks, real prophetic powers do not exist. Plenty of absurdity. Canadian psychic Nikki Pizarro once again predicted the discovery of a King Kong-like giant ape on a remote island and topped this year's hit list of the absurd. Also featured the return of Jesus and a Third World War involving extraterrestrials. Scientific alternatives. Scientifically tested approaches such as superforecasting, prediction markets, and AI-supported, quote, nowcasting, end quote, perform far better than clairvoyants and fortune tellers. A donut-shaped cloud that might be a UFO and can be seen worldwide, aliens fighting as a party to World War III, a cloned Tyrannosaurus Rex, an angler who finally lands the Loch Ness Monster. Many of the annual forecasts for 2025 look more like scripts for fantasy series than serious attempts to peer into the future. Also back on the list was a prediction Canadian psychic Nikki Pizarro has been repeating for years: the discovery of a giant gorilla, a real-life King Kong, on a remote island. Because this prophecy has grown more ridiculous with every failed year, it finally secured first place in the 2025, quote, hit list of the absurd, end quote, in GWUP's large-scale forecast check. Pizarro also foretold penguin invasions in several cities. That prophecy did not make the regular top 10 list of the most outlandish claims, but did receive an honorable mention. After all, when US President Donald Trump imposed punitive tariffs in April 2025 on a small island group in the southern Indian Ocean, inhabited exclusively by penguins and seals, such drastic countermeasures would have at least have been understandable. Quote, with the predictions fortune tellers offered for 2025, you could keep movie theatres running for years, end quote, says psychologist Timur Sevenshar of Lufana University, Lüneburg. Sevenshar researches the psychology of thinking about the future, is a member of the International Forecasting Collaborative, which investigates the accuracy of expert predictions, and is an active skeptic with GWUP, together with philosopher of science Nikoli Mukherjee, who heads GWUP's Scientific Centre, and a team of skeptical data collectors. Seven Shah oversees the annual GWUP forecast check. The project evaluates publicly available annual forecasts from fortune tellers, astrologers, self-described mediums, and other esoteric advisors.
Largest GWUP investigation to date, and still no trace of psychic powers. For more than 20 years, GWUP has conducted systematic checks of high-profile predictions, and the picture has remained stubbornly consistent. The forecasts of fortune tellers and astrologers once again fail to provide any serious indication that psychic abilities exist, says Mukherjee. For the current check, the team analysed 2,099 predictions from 52 sources, ranging from classic psychics, astrologers and spiritual counsellors to tabloid and online media, and social media on YouTube, TikTok and Instagram. The predictions were collected between September 27th, 2024 and November 11th, 2025, and each was coded using a 5-point rating scheme. The results: 552 predictions, 26.3%, were so vague that they could not reasonably be tested. 1,107 predictions, 52.7%, were clearly wrong. Among the rest, the team found mainly partial hits and highly expected developments, straightforward continuations of known trends. Even using a generous scoring standard, the team counted 253 hits out of 2,099 predictions for a hit rate of 12.1%. In homage to the Great Australian Psychic Prediction Project, GAPPP, by Australian skeptic Richard Saunders, which evaluated 3,800 predictions and found a hit rate of 11%, the GWUP team dubbed this overall figure the first German Saunders number. At 12%, we are very close to the Australian value, Mukherjee notes. We are miles away from any extraordinary hit rate that might hint at paranormal abilities. And even this figure is flattering. Strictly speaking, Mukherjee adds, only about 2.2% of the predictions qualify as genuine unexpected hits.
AI-assisted identification of the most important events of 2025. Beyond the overall hit rate, the team wanted to know whether psychics had at least foreseen the year's most important events. To identify these, quote, top events, end quote, the researchers used an AI-assisted procedure for the first time. Starting from the Wikipedia entry for 2025, they exported all listed events into a dataset and had 3 large language models, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity, assess them independently. For each event, the models produced 2 scores: an H-score estimating its long-term historical importance, and a C-score estimating collective attention, for example, media resonance and Wikipedia activity. From these values, the team calculated metascores and derived a top 10 list of the most historically significant events of 2025. These included, among others, attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities, the death of Pope Francis, and the subsequent election of Pope Leo XIV, the International Court of Justice's climate opinion, the famine declaration for Gaza City, and confirmation that 2024 was the warmest year on record.
Big picture failures. Psychics missed the central storylines. The team then examined all 2,099 predictions in full text to determine whether any had announced one of these top 10 events with sufficient specificity. The result? For central developments such as the International Court of Justice's climate ruling, the famine declaration for Gaza City, or the formal confirmation of 2024 as the warmest year, there were no specific predictions. The military escalation surrounding Iran showed up only in vague phrases such as a major war in the Middle East or rising tensions between Iran, Israel, and the United States, with no concrete places, dates, or weapon systems. The clearest overlap appeared in forecasts about the Vatican. US psychic Judy Heavenly predicted the end of Pope Francis's pontificate and the election of a younger successor. However, she spoke of a resignation due to age and health problems, not his death. Several seers vaguely anticipated a change of pope in 2025, yet none named Robert Francis Prevost, the timing of the conclave, or the future papal name Leo XIV. To double-check, GWUP supplemented its dataset with an AI-assisted web search using ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity. This broader search did not uncover any additional specific hits either. Even when we looked outside our original sources, Mukherjee explains, no one had the big storylines of world events on their radar in any concrete way.
The more specific the prediction, the worse it performs. Skeptics have long stressed a simple logical point. Vague predictions have a better chance of, quote, coming true, end quote, than precise ones. The less sharply a claim is formulated, the easier it is to shoehorn some later event into it. For the first time, the GWUP team has empirically documented this effect. In a subsample of 699 predictions, the researchers coded how specific each claim was, essentially how many of the classic, quote, W questions, end quote, what, who, where, how, it answered. The result is clear. The more details a prediction specifies, the less often it is correct. General statements such as, quote, there will be severe storms, end quote, can almost always be matched to something that happens somewhere. However, once a prediction includes details such as a date, a location, or named individuals, the risk of error increases. Statistically, the data show a significant negative correlation between specificity and hit rate. Quote, this is an important finding, end quote, emphasizes Mukherjee. Quote, it doesn't look as if psychics are seeing future events in their mind's eye and then describing what they saw. Instead, it looks like guesswork, and additional details simply drag the hit rate down. Anyone who truly perceived future events should be able to name specifics confidently, end quote. Another striking pattern. Short-term predictions fare better than long-term ones. This mirrors a basic rule of scientific forecasting. Uncertainty grows with the time horizon. Quote, in esoteric and psychic forecasts, time seems to matter just as much, end quote, Mukherjee notes. Quote, that suggests these forecasters are doing essentially the same thing as their scientific counterparts, just much worse, end quote.
Spectacularly wrong! Among the most prolific predictors, Canadian psychic Nikki Pizarro once again stood out with about 1,400 predictions. Only a small fraction was new, much was recycled from previous years. Pizarro nicely illustrates strategies typical of professional forecasters in the psychic sense. An enormous volume of predictions. Plenty of vague formulations, quote, skiing accident around the Trump family, end quote, numerous high base rate events, hospital stays from cancer diagnosis in elderly royals, hurricanes in Florida, and a host of very rare scenarios, some of which will inevitably occur and can then be marketed as spectacular hits. Some individual statements are indeed remarkable, such as Pizarro's 2024 prediction, quote, surfer killed by swordfish, end quote, which can be linked to an extremely rare real-world case, the death of an Italian surfer, Giulia Manfrini, who suffered fatal injuries from a billfish-type animal off the coast of Sumatra in 2024. Quote, cases like this are interesting, end quote, says Sevenshire. Quote, but once you set them in the context of more than 1,000 other forecasts, they lose their magic. If you roll the dice often enough, you're bound to get a double six eventually. End quote. The hit list of the absurd. Once again, the team compiled a, quote, hit list of the absurd, end quote, a top 10 ranking of the most outlandish predictions. Amongst the highlights, a King Kong-sized giant gorilla will be discovered on a remote island. Time travel will become reality. Scientists will clone a Tyrannosaurus Rex. A donut-shaped cloud, possibly a UFO, will be visible around the world. Extraterrestrials will be a belligerent party in World War III. Jesus will return to Earth on the 23rd or 24th of September 2025. Quote, these kinds of prophecies are probably aimed primarily at getting media attention, on the principle that there's no such thing as bad publicity, end quote, says Mukherjee. Quote, I find it hard to believe that the people making these claims truly believe them, but the strategy clearly works. Here we are talking about them, end quote.
Why do people still believe this? A representative survey conducted by the Kantar Polling Institute on behalf of GWUP in 2021 found that 27.8% of people in Germany believe there are individuals with clairvoyant abilities. How can this be, given the lack of scientific plausibility and the repeated failure of psychic forecasts in systematic checks? Psychologist Savincha points to familiar psychological mechanisms. People tend to remember especially spectacular hits and ignore the many misses. Dramatic events lodge in the memory and make related predictions look, in retrospect, uncannily accurate. Vague formulations of the sort familiar from horoscopes often seem to fit, even though they could apply to many different people and situations. The illusion of accuracy arises in our heads, not in the stars, Savincha sums up. If you focus only on the few apparent hits and ignore the vast remainder, you will inevitably overestimate fortune tellers' abilities.
What actually works, and what's next for 2026? Research by Savincha's colleague Philip Tetlock at the University of Pennsylvania has shown that certain forecasting methods can outperform chance. Similarly, prediction markets aggregate knowledge and judgments by allowing participants to trade shares in possible outcomes, generating market prices that often track real-world probabilities surprisingly well. On top of this, new AI-supported nowcasting models have emerged, which use real-time data to estimate near-future developments. Quote, what unites all these approaches is transparency, openness to feedback, and continual self-improvement, end quote, Mukherjee emphasizes. Quote, you can measure how good your forecasts were, refine your models, and make your mistakes visible. None of this exists in the world of psychic predictions, end quote. GWUP plans to continue systematically documenting and evaluating annual forecasts by self-proclaimed seers in 2026. Quote, it's human to long for certainty, end quote, says Mukherjee. Quote, but the idea of outsourcing our future to horoscopes and psychics strikes me as bizarre. We should take it into our own hands with hard data, clear scientific standards, and the honest language of probability, end quote.
Contact information. For more information on psychic predictions, contact GWUP's Forecast Check team by email at prognostencheck@gwup.org, and that is prognostencheck@gwup.org. A complete report on the 2025 Forecast Check in German, PDF, is available on the GWUP website. And there's a lengthy URL there. I won't link to that directly, but I will link to this article as it appears on the website of the Skeptical Inquirer, and then you can proceed to check on that other link if you so desire. Well, thank you to Lara Benham and Adrienne Hill for helping me get through this lengthy but fascinating press release from the GWUP, and congratulations to them. From the whole team, the whole of the team of the Great Australian Psychic Prediction Project, and me especially, it's wonderful to see that other groups are doing a similar thing and getting similar results, which gives me reason to believe that we were on the right track. If your experiments are repeated independently, and I had no idea about this at all, and similar results are achieved, it's a very good indication that your results have been somewhat validated. And it's quite thrilling to read in other reports the term Saunders number. Maybe I should have that on a t-shirt. Saunders number, 11%. The German Saunders number is 12%. Is that worse or better? I don't know. Nochmals, herzlich Glückwunsch an das Team in Deutschland. Es ist spannend, von eurer Forschung zu lesen. Once again, congratulations to the team there at the GWUP, and I will link to that article in this week's show notes.
It can't just be me, but something serious is happening to my body. On the Moans is a new podcast from me, Kate Thomas, a pharmacist of 25 years and a newly minted perimenopausal oversharer. I pull back the curtains on perimenopause, hormones, rage-quitting jobs, disappearing libido, bone health, and the quiet suffering so many women carry alone. From estrogen quitting her full-time job with no notice and taking all of the neurotransmitters with her, to a friend breaking down in the kitchen whispering, "I thought it was just me." On the Moans is honest, evidence-based, funny, messy, and deeply human. And it's not just for women. Loads of men are wondering why their partner has gone from being reasonably well put together to now crying because she can't remember why she entered a room. We are not broken. It's not our fault. And we're definitely not alone in this. Join me for On the Moans, available now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or via the link on the Skeptic Zone homepage.
Now, it was just yesterday here in Australia on the Channel 7 evening news. A story popped up which took my attention, caught me by surprise a little bit. And this was a story to do with a warning to the public against or about so-called detox or parasite removing concoctions promoted on social media. Now, telling people they're filled with parasites is one of the biggest scams pulled on the public by alternative medicine. We're not riddled with parasites, but it's easy to say, "Oh dear, you have a parasite," or "Your body is filled with toxins," or "You have heavy metal toxins," or something like that. Although, to be overly fair, I would suggest that many of the people who think that our bodies are filled with parasites and toxins, they've been hoodwinked themselves into believing this nonsense because somebody else said it, or they read it somewhere, or somebody has sold them something to get rid of parasites and toxins. Now, are there parasites in people in Australia? Well, yes, it can happen. Things like threadworms are rare but do happen. But anyway, getting back to this report on the evening news, here's a short clip.
A new detox trend is sweeping social media, promising to rid your body of unwanted parasites. But health experts have warned against the cleansers, saying there's no evidence they work and risk causing more harm than good.
It's the latest health trend sweeping social media.
Day 1 parasite cleanse.
Day 2 of my parasite cleanse.
It's a 3-day cleanse.
I am on day 5 of my parasite cleanse and a huge worm exited my body.
Parasite cleansers. Tonics, pills and potions taken over a number of days for a DIY worm detox at a cost.
There is no evidence for parasite cleansing. It can be quite costly for some instances and actually may delay diagnoses of some serious conditions.
A recent Deakin University study analysed nearly 700 posts by influencers with over 100,000 followers. It found that nearly half the advice offered was inaccurate.
Really, the safest option is very simple. Get tested, use proven treatments, and don't follow social media trends.
Simple logic to reap health rewards. Nats Levy, 7 News.
The 7 Network people have posted this story on their Facebook account. I will link to that in this week's show notes. And the post says, a parasite cleanse trend is gaining popularity on social media, with users taking tonics, pills and potions over several days to detox from worms. Health experts warn there is no evidence these cleanses work, and they may delay diagnosis of serious conditions while proving costly. Of course, that's one of the other hallmarks of alternative medicine, is it can delay you getting a proper diagnosis for very serious conditions. And it's interesting to note that whenever a story is published in this sort of vein of criticizing or questioning things like alternative medicine, well, the alt-med brigade come out in droves. And the main thrust of the postings here on the Channel 7 Facebook page in the comments are along the lines of big pharma is trying to keep you sick to make more money from you, and doctors won't help you. Here are some examples of the comments. We have one commenter here asking, quite innocently, I guess, how do you get tested for parasites? The answers are interesting, and I don't know if these names are real or not. Let's assume they could well be real. Chris Pretorius answers this question. Eat a whole pineapple. If you get a headache, you have parasites. Actually, there is nobody on this earth who don't have parasites. Do we take that seriously or not? I don't know. Assert Freedom says, go to Big Pharma and pay for a toxic test that keeps you locked into the Big Pharma. Buy, B-U-Y. Tammy Jade Real says, herbs have been around for years to cleanse parasites. Glad to see people are waking up to it. And my reply to that posting was, what are these parasites? Names and species, please. And finally, the original poster has said, the parasites are tapeworms, liver flukes. I don't know the names of the others, but there's rice-shaped ones in our kidneys. Just do some research. Well, I did a little bit of research to discover that these things are exceedingly rare. But of course, it's the cry of the alt-med crowd all the time. Do your own research. Donald Patrick Reinhardt says parasites are just one problem. They're a major one, but there's all kinds of parasites. You also need to worry about heavy metal detox, a mold detox, bacteria and germs. Okay then. Another one from Chris Pretorius. They work. And regarding the quack cures, they work. The medical industry just wants to sell you poison. Leah Smalley says health experts just don't want to be out of a job. Myra McMillan says parasite cleansers were common until the late 20th century, so it's not something new. However, pharma trolls are very attached to their parasites and don't want to remove them. Again, Leah Smiley comes in saying, many, if, presumably she meant of, we all make typos, many of the homeopathic remedies have been used for hundreds of years from countries around the globe. Time to wake up, people. Bruce Allen suggests that ivermectin works. Ella White says, imagine Big Pharma not being able to monetize this. People using natural ingredients to actually take control of their own health. Unless doctors just want to keep prescribing Big Pharma pills you're meant to stay dependent on for life. My reply to that was, you sound just like a conspiracy theorist. Benjamin Tamati, the government don't want you to do it cause pharmaceutical companies lose money. And the list goes on and on and on, comment after comment. Now I wonder, did I make a mistake by making any comments there at all? What's the point? What's the point? I guess sometimes we all need to vent, and sometimes I feel the need that when I see ridiculous comments, I am inclined to say something. I guess that's okay. It means you get more interesting comments coming back. But of course, as we can see, a lot of the people who are motivated to post here firmly believe in the conspiracy theory of Big Pharma and totally ignore or are ignorant of the fact that big wellness is a far more profitable enterprise and not immune to corruption. Now, if you feel the need to comment on that particular story at the Channel 7, on the Channel 7 Facebook site, well, I can't stop you. It might be an interesting exercise, or at least to read some of the comments. But congratulations to the Channel 7 Evening News for presenting this story. I hope you present more stories looking at myths and bad advice on social media.
There are many psychics and channelers who claim they are in contact with the Galactic Federation, but we have uncovered the truth. The Adventures of Psychic Penny and the Galactic Federation, Series 1, a daring cosmic space adventure starring Richard Saunders, Kat MacLeod, Lara Benham, Maynard, Kathy Reitmeyer, and Adrienne Hill as Psychic Penny. Search for The Adventures of Psychic Penny.
It's the Loons from Canada. Here's Kate and Allie.
Hello everyone, this is Kate
and Allie,
coming to you from a delightful tea shop. Won't you join us while we enjoy a cup of tea and reminisce about some of our favorite moments from 2025? Hi, Allie.
Hey, Kate. So great to see you again. And it's so hard to believe that another year has gone by. It seems like just yesterday that we started doing this together.
I know.
And do you realize we've been doing the Loons from Canada segments since 2023?
Wow. How have we not been kicked off the zone yet?
Yeah, especially with all this giggling that goes on, right?
Right? We're so serious. But speaking of seriousness, we have covered a lot of interesting and important topics, from mouth taping and icky baby helmets to dangerous alternative treatments like kratom. Aside from reading the newsletter, what were some of your favorite segments this year?
Well, speaking of kratom, it just won't go away, will it?
No, it won't.
I think that was one of my favorite segments because I had never heard of it before. And, you know, when you hear about something and then all of a sudden it's everywhere. I have seen it in the news so many times this year, and in California recently, there were a number of deaths from kratom. Is that correct?
There were, yes. And a lot of it has to do with that energy drink that I mentioned at some point on the show called Feel Free. And it's kratom mixed with kava. And it is acting like an opioid, more addictive than heroin, I think.
It's really addictive, basically.
Yeah, it's very addictive. And a lot of places, they don't even restrict selling it to minors.
You're driving down the highway and you think it's an energy drink, and it's just at the counter at a gas station. And I think that's horrifying. And unfortunately, I believe that people think that it's non-addictive, and they think that it can replace heroin safely.
Yeah, and it can't.
And as with the case with so many of those so-called wellness trends, there's a lot to choose from. Along with kratom that won't go away, there's people like Joseph Mercola, who we discussed. And I interviewed Jonathan Jerry about the Mercola tapes that were fascinating.
Yes, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was a really fun episode to do. And Jonathan Jerry's always so interesting and fun to interview and just hang around with. And probably one of my ultimate favorite things, because I got to go and travel, was going to the Bermuda Triangle for the Skeptoid 1000th episode with Richard Saunders and Lara Benham,
Susan Gerbic and
Celestial Ward and Ben Radford,
Rob Palmer,
of course, Brian Dunning.
Not me.
No, we would have loved to have had you come.
I was at Lilicon, okay?
Another highlight was I emceed for the We Can Reason conference, and you interviewed a whole bunch of people, Kat, so that was a really fun time for me. And lastly, I think a favorite was the Mandela Effect.
Mandela Effect? Did we really do a segment on that?
Well, geez, I think we'll have to go back and look.
Right? Woo. Is that just us misremembering, or did we really do a thing?
Exactly.
Speaking of show milestones, the first episode of the Skeptic Zone in 2026 will be episode 900. Huge congratulations to Richard, and thank you to all of the listeners for making that possible.
And I predict that psychic Penny might have something to say about that mystical number.
One of my favorite segments this year was when I did the investigation into the ghost of the Fort Garry Hotel. And of course, reporting from Lilicon, We Can Reason, and our skeptic camps.
Those skeptic camps were so fun. Two of them, I know.
Do you remember when we broke Copilot when we did a segment about AI?
and it thought you were a cat. A real cat.
Named Muna.
Muna, exactly. Oh, that was so much fun. And we would be remiss if we didn't mention the addition of Kate Thomas to the team with her segment called Woo Watch.
I am so envious of that title. That's an amazing segment, Woo Watch.
Hi, Allie. Sorry I'm a bit late. I hear we're supposed to do a Kate and Allie segment for the podcast.
Hi, Kate. We are doing a Kate and Allie segment, but I play Kate.
Well, if you're playing me, why do I have to be here?
I'm not playing you. It's just a character name for the Loons from Canada segment. Because in the beginning, people kept getting Adrienne and my names wrong, so we just sort of ran with it.
I think you need to choose a different name. Co-pilot says Muna is available. I think it really suits you.
Oh, very funny. Who do you think you are? Tim Ferguson?
Oh my, what's that noise I hear?
Hello, everyone.
Is it the skeptical fairy godmother Angel from the internet?
Now, ladies. It's that special time of year when we try to put our differences aside and we try to live in peace and harmony, or else your mouth gets washed out with maple syrup.
Is it real Canadian maple syrup?
That doesn't sound like much of a threat to us loons.
Be careful, or I will make you suck on a musk stick dipped in Vegemite.
Sorry, skeptical fairy godmother angel from the internet. Come on, Kate, Allie, and skeptical fairy godmother angel from the internet. Let's go soak up some holiday cheer outside and end this year on a positive note. Maybe we can find Richard.
Oh, yes. It's so great to see all you ladies together. Maybe we can find a mind-body wallet at a Christmas fair. What do you think?
Yeah, let's go.
Ooh, wonder if they'll have power bands and crystals for stockings to stuff.
energy patches.
There's worlds of woo out there on the internet that I'm just waiting to debunk.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go find some drop bears and yowies.
And liquids that might give Kate back her...
stem cells.
What were those? Yeah, her stem cells. Something that might give Kate back her stem cells.
Kate, Allie and the others leave the tea shop as Psychic Penny enters and greets her friend who is waiting for her.
Clairvoyant Casey! Darling! I can't believe it's been... Wait. Soothsayer's pact. No talk of the past. Only the future.
That's right, Psychic Penny. It's been too long, but we are strictly forward-facing, like a calendar on wheels.
Exactly. So, tell me, what will happen between now and the next time that we meet?
Well, Penny, I foresee that your next batch of herbal tea will finally not explode.
Oh, you saw that too?
I see everything.
It was such a shame. The peppermint lavender kain fusion was ahead of its time.
It was outside of time, possibly outside of physics.
It's your turn now. Let me consult my oracle deck. Ooh, I've drawn the Crescent Clock card, meaning you will have a visitor next February.
Oh? Anyone interesting? Mystic Meg, perchance?
I'm afraid not. It's a raccoon carrying your backpack, and he will not return it.
Well, I suppose everyone needs a journey.
Now that the crystal ball has been activated,
let's look further into 2026.
Ah, yes. The year of bold decisions, unexpected snacks, and at least one very opinionated comet.
My vision begins January 2026. Penny, I see you hosting a workshop.
Ooh, for psychic development?
No, for teaching people how to fold fitted sheets. You will be revered as a prophet of linens.
I'm hoping rolling them up in a ball will be acceptable for the workshop. And you, Casey, by March of 2026, you'll invent something.
Ooh, a gadget?
An app. One that predicts when someone is about to send a text beginning with, "Sorry for the late reply."
That is going to save society.
I agree.
Summer 2026. I see us both traveling.
Together?
Sort of. You'll take a train, I'll take a hot air balloon, and we'll wave at each other from vastly different altitudes. And I sense that we will eventually arrive at destinations close to each other, within 300 kilometers, give or take.
And it seems to me that distance, 300 kilometers, sounds familiar.
Very familiar. It must be a magical number.
Must be. And something to do with a city that begins with E.
Or C.
It is very on brand for us. One more vision, each before we part. The next meeting of the Galactic Federation. When will it be?
I see autumn leaves, crisp air, a pumpkin wearing sunglasses, barfing up seeds. October 2026, or it may be April, depending on which hemisphere is facing the Federation and if any planets are in retrograde.
Ah, yes. I see them. And between now and then, Casey, you will find a fortune cookie that contains a fortune that you wrote 6 years ago.
Well, that explains the déjà vu.
Until we meet again, then.
Until then, may your visions be clear and your tea non-combustible.
No promises there.
Thank you for joining us for this year-end Kate and Allie. Kat McLeod wrote the episode script. The scene, including Psychic Penny and Clairvoyant Casey, was aided by ChatGPT. Psychic Penny is played by Adrienne Hill, and Clairvoyant Casey is played by Kat McLeod. Produced by Adrienne Hill and narrated by 11 Labs. Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Coming up on the next episode, episode 900, believe it or not, one of the original reporters returns. Dr. Rachel Dunlop. We catch up with her to find out how her career is going. She does very important scientific work. Dr. Rachel has been living in Jackson Hole, Wyoming for many years doing vital scientific research. We're going to find out more about that. Kate Thomas returns with her Woo Watch. I wonder what woo she'll be watching next week. And I'm also, and I hope to bring it to you next week, we'll see, I'm also working on a story regarding the television show called Second Opinion that was broadcast in Australia 20 years ago. This ran for something like 36 episodes, and it was a free kick, as we say. It was a mostly uncritical exercise in looking at alternative medicine modalities, some of them simply bizarre and ridiculous, and I captured most episodes, not all. I think I've got 4 or 5 missing from 36 episodes of this mostly dreadful show, the show that went on to win the Bent Spoon Award in 2005. Anyway, it's been torture looking over those shows again and hearing the drivel, the quackery that was broadcast here in Australia on the public broadcaster all those years ago. And so goodbye 2025, and we look forward to many adventures and hopefully some victories for the skeptical movement in 2026. But for now, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Please visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for episodes and show notes with links going back to 2008. You can follow the Skeptic Zone on Facebook, X, TikTok and YouTube by clicking the links at our homepage, together with links to support the show financially via Patreon or PayPal. The Skeptic Zone is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of the Skeptic Zone podcast or any other skeptical organisation.
So we're back together again, right, Kate?
Yay! One last time for 2025.
Exactly. Describe what's on these wonderful 3D printed dice.
These beautifully gifted dice, but each die goes from -1 to 4 instead of 1 to 6.
Exactly. Yeah. So sorry, Susan. And you're going to look after this because you finally got yours. I gave them to you when I saw you before Christmas.
They're in my hot little hand right now.
Yeah.
Until I drop them.
Oh, Spirit Dog Jewel wants to play.
Okay, Spirit Dog Jewel. How many barks?
Yeah, how many wines? What do you guess? Oh, there was a one wine. So Spirit Dog Jewel wants a 1.
Okay, so it's a 1. And you were going with?
Oh, I'm going to go with the -1 because I'm so negative.
I'm going with 3 because that's all I could think of. So rule number 1. Everybody got their guesses in? Oh, I kid thee not. It's a 3.
I think Clairvoyant Casey must be in the room.
Clairvoyant Casey is here. And I can bring her out because she's been introduced to the listeners now.
That's right.
Okay, now I'm picking up my other die.
Okay, so the second one.
For roll number 2.
I'm going to... Oh, Jewel gave a bark instead of a whine, so I'm guessing that's a -1 for Jewel.
Okay, -1.
And I'm going... The highest number is 3, though, right? Is it 4? Okay, so it goes -1, 0. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Of course, 6 sides.
Oh, God. 6 numbers.
Brain fart again.
So, listeners, you can imagine when you added in a die that had math functions on it.
It was impossible.
How much trickier this got.
And I'm a math teacher.
So, Adrienne, what's your second guess?
My second guess will be a 0 because I like that number.
A 0. I'm going to go with a 2.
All right.
It goes to no one because the answer is a 1.
1. Oh, Spirit Dog Jewel was just off by a roll. Roll number 3. I'm going to go with a 3 because good things happen in 3s. Or was it bad?
Bad things also happen in 3s. Spirit Jewel sounds pretty quiet, so is that a 9?
No, she's whining over there, but she's around the corner. I think she whined 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So she wants a 4
times.
Oh, she's still whining.
All you get is 4.
The maximum 4.
I'm going with a 0.
Okay.
Woo! Spirit Jewel wins. It's a 4.
You won, Jewel. Good for you.
For the supplemental.
0.
Well, I better pick something different then. I'll go with 4.
All right.
It is a 4.
It's a 4. Kat, you are 50% psychic.
I am 50% psychic. And it's all down to Tim Tom Craigle Flagel Bagel's die.
Thank you, Tom Craigle.
Thank you very kindly. I like playing with them.
They're fun. It's a nice twist to things.
It is.
I, Allie, will now summarize the rolls. The winning rolls were 3, 1, 4, and 4. I hope you had psychic success.
Were you more psychic than me?
You did well.
Thank you.
And Psychic Penny was not able to get rid of the world's negative energy.
Although none of the rolls came up with a negative number.
True. So that has to be meaningful.
Maybe all the negative energy has been shooed away already.
That's right. Well, good seeing you.
Lovely seeing you. Have a happy new year.
Yes, and you too.
I'll see you then.
May the numbers be with you.
And non-combustible.
Yeah.